time on the Film Vault. Welcome everyone to the Film Vault. That's Anderson. I'm Brian Bishop, your host for today. Top 5 stock market scenes. Now, you might get into this episode and realize that not all of our scenes actually involve the stock market. However, we've decided to go with this title as a bit of a catch-all, a bit of a placeholder, a bit of a representative sample for investing, futures markets, commodities markets. There will be many different iterations of investing and futures trading, and that'll all fall under just the generic heading of stock market scenes.
Yeah, why did this come to mind, Brian? What was your thinking? I mean,
are you familiar with the GameStop situation that's going on in the news?
That place where people get video games?
Yes, a yes or no question. Are you familiar with this?
Of course.
Yes. So it was happening. It was big news. People were losing money. Rich people were losing some money, and I was like, this is an interesting story, and it's also a good topic for the Film Ball. We have not done investing the scenes, stock market scenes. We wrestled on what to call this, but let's just call it stock market scenes and explain it within the episode.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of movies out there that are in and about the investments and whatnot. So I said, yeah, it's timely. Brian likes his timeliness, and everyone's talking about it right now. And it's very interesting to see where it goes and what happens here. And I really like. You always say, I don't know how much of this is your truth, but you say that you don't like timeliness, and we're not the show that does like vampires, during Halloween time.
Right.
But usually it's you who comes to the table with something that's very timely. And I like looking back at our lists, from years past, and we go, oh yeah, that's when the GameStop thing was happening. So we did top 5 investments, and it's fun with some of these limited ones sometimes, because it's not something I've ever sat down, like with most of our lists, it's not something I've ever been like, hey, what are my favorite investment moments, stock market moments in movies? So I was disappointed.
Go ahead.
In my research, I was really hoping to find some juicy ones that, were grainy, black and white from like the olden times, but I was disappointed to not be able to come across any of those.
None for me too. Most of mine are fairly modern, but I'm glad you highlighted my resistance toward timely lists with the vampires and Halloween. Like I think if I'm to really pare it down, I don't like the sort of AM morning show, morning zoo, like, hey, it's Halloween, let's talk about our favorite scary movies. But like if there's something that's in the news and it makes sense for a good top 5, then I'm all for it.
I mean, are we splitting hairs? Or are we talking about the exact same thing? I don't get it.
I'm agreeing with you, but I'm explaining where the difference.
Okay, so you don't like when certain people do it, but it's okay if we do it. Is what you're saying?
As long
as we're not like morning career, as long as we're not like.
I mean, there's a pretty obvious hacky version of this, which is, hey, St. Patrick's Day. Let's talk about our favorite Irish. Actually, I think we did that. Shit.
Uh-oh. What row?
Wait a minute. Now I need to look up top 5 Irish characters. Because
did we do Irish? Yeah, we did. Did we do it last? I know we did Irish characters. Did we do it for St. Patrick's Day?
Oh no.
Well, I don't know.
Oh no, May of 20 of last year.
May. At least we didn't. We didn't do it.
Sorry, March of last year. Oh no, March 11th. That's terrible.
That is pretty bad, Brian. That's pretty hacky.
I've become what I hate.
Yeah, it's inevitable. I mean, it's going to happen. Yeah, it is upsetting. Okay, well, what can you do? Damn it.
I have nothing but loathing for myself right now.
Hey, I'm allowing it. I'm enabling it. So
perfect.
But
I have no one to blame but you.
Everybody loves Florence, and one of her decider recommendations for a topic was top 5 corpses. And I love that topic, but I said, hey, let's wait. I didn't want to do it around Christmas, so I said, let's wait until October. We'll do it 2021 October. And she goes,
that's a
cool.
Good one.
But and speaking of creepy and topics, I would like to let everyone know that Mitch Tobias is our next up for Decider. He'll be getting a second round, and he is having us do, last I checked, basement scenes, top 5 basement scenes for next week, Brian.
I already have a number one. I already have a number 1.
Basement scenes. And if Saw is your number 1 next week, I'm going to be very disappointed. Even for you, I'll be disappointed.
I already have my number 2 then.
And that says a lot because I've been, I'm disappointed with you. He's the one who assigned us supermarket scenes, or he had us do top 5 supermarket scenes back in April 24th of last year, Brian, because that was here it is. Here we are 9 months later, and it's still kind of the only place that I go to that's in public, like in supermarkets. I went to a supermarket today. It's like the only thing I do.
I've forgotten all about the supermarket scenes. Let me see. Yeah, The Wrestler. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And these are all good.
The Wrestler?
The Wrestler.
Oh, yeah.
It was a great
Talking
supermarket
about
scene.
supermarket scenes. I thought you were talking about other topics.
This is the episode where you disapproved. I say you gave me a. It didn't go well when I suggested that the song that was playing in the scene from Bad Moms is probably what cocaine sounds like.
Oh, is that the episode? How do you know that?
Because I had Bad Moms on my list. When the fuck else would I ever talk about Bad Moms?
This song is what cocaine sounds like. And what is the song?
Oh, I can play it for you.
Well, just tell me what it is, because it's a song that we've all heard. Like, you
Yes.
hear it in the supermarket, literally. Like, it's not like a cocaine song.
It absolutely is. It's Charlie XCX. I love it. I love it.
I love it.
Down.
It's like akin to the Barbie song. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
Are you saying the Barbie song by Aqua is not what cocaine sounds like?
Apparently it is. I mean, I've done cocaine too. Barbie song probably. I'm not denying that, but it's not a cocaine song. I like it. Okay, Brian, why bring that back?
You had a lot of fun with that.
I did. We all did. Brian. All right, so you want to get to this right here? I have a good list. However, a couple clips, Brian. Another thing about us doing 2 separate episodes is I was always resistant to the clips. A, you can't handle your clips. B, when we're separated, it makes it a little tougher. But mainly, it was because it just meant more time on the episode. The episodes were getting girthier and girthier. So now I don't give a fuck about the clips. I like clips.
Let them run.
Brought a couple clips myself, Brian. I'm going to be honest with you. Brought a couple clips
How
myself.
the worm has turned.
The worm has turned, Brian. And my number 5, which I could lead with, because this could be my Brad Pitt eating scene moment where it's not stock market, and I wonder if you're going to give it to me. So you want to just dive right in?
Well, no, I should say that 4 out of my 5 scenes involve markets other than the stock market. They're not trading stocks. They're trading something else. So even though I think most people would look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's investing or stock market or whatever. It's technically not, which is why I had weird misgivings about this episode title, but I don't really care because I think most people just kind of generically call everything like playing the stock market when in fact you're investing in other things.
Are you worried, like, who's going to come a knocking, Brian? I mean, really, like, are we going to get a cease and desist letter? Are we going to get, is someone going to knock on our door and say, excuse me, your title was questionable?
I'm pretty sure the SEC will actually come and investigate our title and say, you're not allowed to use a stock market when it's not applicable.
Isn't it crazy how the FCC used to have so much power? And just
No, but I said the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission.
Oh, okay.
Because
right,
they regulate the banking and Christy,
I thought your joke was the FCC.
Christy is shaking her head at me right now.
Christy should not be in the room with you when you do the show. I mean, it makes you more of a jackass than you already are. I think you're showing off.
No, the FCC, yes, did have quite a bit of power, and I imagine they're a bit neutered these days.
I thought that was your joke, like the FCC is going to get us for libel for labeling our top 5 when it's misleading. And it is funny because I used to have to deal with FCC concerns, being the engineer of terrestrial radio programs.
I remember that well.
And it's funny how the digital age has just made them so powerless with Sirius and podcasts. It's like, hey, FCC, go fuck yourself. How about that? How about that?
I made a bad prediction back in the day that I just assumed the FCC would eventually take over oversight of like podcasting and digital media and stuff. That obviously hasn't happened.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if there will be something like the FCC in the not too distant future.
I have no doubt there will be. I have no doubt
that's going to be policing the internets and whatnot. They're gonna have a pretty big staff, I would imagine. Their staff.
Indeed.
I mean, the FCC, they just have to like wake up early in the morning and listen to Howard Stern and see, what he did wrong. Or actually, you know what? The FCC rules were like they would not act unless they were sicked upon. Like,
Oh, like someone reported something?
I don't even think they were allowed to act until there was a report made. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But, I guess you wouldn't proactively, you couldn't listen to every market. You know what I mean?
So they wouldn't even wake up and listen to Stern. They would just wait for people to listen and be offended and then write in. Like they would literally write in a letter. Can you imagine? God, explaining the old world to our kids. I'm sure you did, Brian. You're a letter writer. You're that kind of guy. How would it go?
I said this one show, Loveline, has some very offensive drops. I demand that the man playing them be fired.
While you were there, you wanted my job so bad.
While I was there,
So
I could have done it very easily, but no.
It probably crossed your mind. You're like, how do I get in that man's seat? I need that job.
Much like you plotted the murder of your your girlfriend's ex-boyfriend. Yeah,
no, it wasn't a boyfriend. It was a rapist. A guy raped her, and I
had a plan.
I'm sure you did. I don't know if I ever said congratulations on finally getting the job that I once had, but that's the job you continue to have today. And congrats, Brian. I don't know if I ever formally said.
It's belated, but I'll accept that. I'll accept that.
Do you miss the days when you had the morning show out here when you guys took over for Stern?
Oh,
when
God,
Stern went to Sirius,
no.
And I would listen live, and I would send you texts, furious texts saying, "That's another one of my drops. Why are you doing that drop? There's one of my drops."
The worst part of that job was waking up at 4:30 or 4:45 in the morning. The second worst part of the job was getting text from Anderson.
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah.
I used to have like a countdown for when I would play one of my drops and when I would get the text.
Yeah, because you knew how long the delay was and you knew it would be coming.
I used to get regular text from Anderson anytime, and this was during like you had balls because this was during USC's heyday when they fucking just were winning 12, 13 games a year. Anytime they would fall behind, any first quarter, third quarter, anytime, here's the text. Oh, it doesn't look too good for your boys.
Every time that happened, Brian, I just happened to be like in a sports bar or a casino or something, and I look up and I'd see the score, and I'd think, send my buddy Brian a text if they're losing, and if they're winning, I would just ignore you.
I didn't get many texts.
He sniffs as though he was like the QB. All right, here we go. Let's start with my number 5, if you will, Brian.
Please kick us off.
This could be my Brad Pitt eating scenes where you had Bruce Willis eating in 12 Monkeys. Eating
All right.
Bridge speech. The bridge speech in Margin Call.
No,
Margin Call.
Any part of Margin Call is going to work.
I know what? I am happy that you say that because if we were doing top 5 stock market movies or movies related to the stock market, Margin Call would probably be my number 1. I absolutely love this movie. It's the first time we ever saw anything by J.C. Chandor, I believe.
That was his debut, yeah.
And of that entire movie, how well it's done, and a lot of it is quiet. Like I watched the whole selling of the shorts and dumping the stocks, and like you don't even see Paul Bettany. You don't even see they're not stocks. Sorry, you don't even see Paul Bettany. You just hear his phone conversations, and there's like random shots on the floor, right? But
it's his voiceover as they pan slowly across the floor. It's really good. I love this movie. This movie is underrated for sure.
A lot of very interesting and well conceived, director's choices in this movie. Where most, 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100 directors would have done one thing that was predictable, and Chandor did his own thing, and I think that's one of the many reasons why this movie is so effective. But Margin Call, a fantastic movie, love it. 2011's Margin Call. And it's when thinking about this movie, I always think of the speech that Tucci gives sitting on the stoop talking to Paul Bettany. And it's after a bunch of stuff has happened. I don't want to give too much away, but essentially this is Tucci's character explaining that he used to do something else with his life before he became a guy that traded fake paper, essentially. Mm-hmm. And how he used to kind of do good in the world, but he's still doing it mathematically, which is what put him in the place to become a master trader and a high level guy to begin with. It's phenomenal. I always think of this scene. This is a little lengthy, so buckle in. It's him explaining to Paul Bettany how he used to be an engineer and how he's responsible for a bridge. And I'm just gonna let this play for everybody. Here we go. And there's the clip. I got to be honest with you. I was a little disappointed that it was only 1,539. I can't even remember the actual final number of years that it saved people from being in their fucking car, as he put it. It seems like it would be more than that with all the billions of miles saved. But I love that scene. I absolutely love that scene. I love scenes where they're talking about one thing, but they, it's obviously directly related to another thing, but they're not without coming out and saying it. It's one of those. A lot of the time, you show rather than tell, but this is definitely a tell rather than show moment. I don't want to see him building the bridge. You know what I mean?
It's a great scene. It's a great scene from a great movie. I love this scene. It's not on my list, but there were so many great scenes from Margin Call. You may hear more about this later, this film. But yes, I love that I love where it comes in the film. And I love that it's this little oasis of like humanity, like human interaction. It's one of the few scenes that takes place outside of a building, like not inside
an office,
somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if I guess we can say it because it kicks off the plot. Tucci's character has been fired earlier in the movie, and now they need him desperately, and he's kind of like, what's it all for? Why are we doing this? What is the whole, what is the purpose of all this? And it's this little oasis of humanity where these two guys are just talking on the front step as the capitalism collapses around them. And they have this great moment.
And I think what makes it so powerful too is we all know, watching this in 2011, what happened because we lived through it, right? And a lot of people we know were underwater in their house. It just ruined a lot of people.
Not just that, the whole movie has been, edge of your seat, go. Like these people making these, huge decisions that are going to impact the world economy. The stakes are so incredibly high. And then you have this little scene on the front stoop of his apartment.
Right, just a couple guys. But what I was getting at is like they know what's about to hit, and it's before it actually hits. So like we're with the people who know before the world knows, and there is something really magical and empowering, and it made you felt like you were like in on the secret with them, which is I think one of the reasons why this movie was so effective, is you're like a fly on the wall for this major catastrophic thing to happen that we're all familiar with. This is one of the first movies where like it's a historical, world altering phenomena, occurrence that I lived through that affected me, and then there's a movie about it. You know what I mean?
Finish what you were saying.
That's it. That's all.
No, you're 100% right. And what else is kind of amazing, if you guys haven't seen Margin Call, it's working. Can this be streamed, Anderson? This is a spectacular movie. I love this movie. It's great because it's so artfully written that they don't tell you, they tell you just enough. Like they keep saying the firm. They never tell you where it is and who it's supposed to be. You can
this is not a hit piece.
You can kind of figure it out, but it's, the firm, and they don't dumb it down and try to, belabor the explanation of what's going on. They just assume that a smart viewer will be able to follow along, even if they don't understand all the technical and financial stuff. Like they'll be able to figure out what's going on.
You can see this on Peacock.
Really?
I'm surprised because Kevin Spacey's in there, and I'm surprised a big platform like Peacock would allow this movie to be shown with Spacey right there front and center.
I can't
surprised
imagine.
by that.
No, I can't imagine that's an issue.
Oh, I think it is.
Well, let me look
it's all
at
about
Kevin
the optics,
Spacey on Just Watch and see where
it's all about the optics. Well, look what happened with Netflix and House of Cards, which is a massively hit big show. Like they were talking about cutting him out of every scene. And
really?
Oh yeah. Hey,
that I didn't know.
Yeah, optics.
That I didn't
optics.
know.
It's all about the optics.
Kevin Spacey's like the third or fourth lead in this movie, though, isn't he?
But he's the biggest name, so they have him front and center.
I guess that's true.
I'm surprised they didn't put like a little happy face over his face. For the
7 is
or a sad
on HBO
face.
Max.
Sad face. It's on Peacock, and then you can rent it other places.
Yeah, all these movies are everywhere. There you go. Rent it. Hey, this is a solid rental, you guys. If you have not seen this for some reason, highly recommend. Spend your $4 on Amazon and enjoy.
And, unlike The Big Short, this one's not sexy. It doesn't have the kind of sex appeal. Like this is not the kind of movie I could recommend to my bro friends. I don't think. They'd be like, "What? Where's the puss?" You know what I mean? It's
totally.
not. But not to take anything away from The Big Short. Absolutely love The Big Short. But this one's a lot more quiet, even though Brian just talked about its hyperkinetic, unrelenting ways.
No, it's not hyperkinetic at all. You're right. It's very quiet and it moves methodically, but the tension and the stakes are very high.
Yes. And you know what? I take that back. Maybe we saw All Is Lost and then went back and watched Margin Call. I can't recall. I don't know.
I saw it because it was nominated for an Oscar. I don't think I'd even heard about it until it was nominated for the Oscar for Best Screenplay. I was like, what is this?
So that's my number 5, or Brian? What do you got coming in at number 5?
Number 5 for me, I'm digging deep. Well, not really that deep, honestly. Going back to 1986. No, not Wall Street. I don't even like that movie that much. Talking about Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Anderson. This is a scene where they are traipsing through the city of Chicago. They end up at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which is sort of like the New York Stock Exchange, although it's AKA the Merc, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. It is, according to the internet, an American global markets company. It is the world's largest financial derivatives exchange and trades in asset classes that include agricultural products, currencies, energy, interest rates, metals, and of course, stock indexes. So you can trade all sorts of stuff there. There are some sources on the internet that say that the scene was filmed at the Board of Trade, but no, apparently the iconic yellow jackets worn by the mercantile traders gave it away. It's kind of like the Masters, or they were the green jackets. They're all wearing yellow jackets. And
right.
I don't know if you remember the scene, Anderson. Are you trying to interrupt? What's up?
I was just going to say, stop acting like, you're the master of ceremonies here and you understand all facets of the stock market.
I do not.
The yellow jacket and the green jacket.
These are not stocks. These are commodities.
But I would like to one up you and say I believe that this was, as you said, at the Mercantile. However, if you were to see something like this after this, it would have been where they moved the trading pits because they got rid of the Mercantile.
Right.
No longer exists.
That's right. They don't have the floor. I mean, they have the floor, but it's not the same.
It's digitized.
That leads me into my next point, Anderson. So remember, Cameron is doing those crazy hand signals. Remember, he's making his
baseball
hands pop, and he's doing the baseball. Yeah. Apparently, that's known as arb or arbitrage. That is how the traders used to communicate with each other on the very, very loud, almost impossible to hear trading floor.
Yeah, it always reminded me of I don't want to say at the end of any movie, but let's just say Deer Hunter with the gambling, and that's like a trope, and we've all seen that where they're all it's like arbitrage. They're doing the stock market thing where they're all making these crazy bets, but I don't think that any of it's real. How is any of that real? How do bets actually get wagered appropriately? You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people I didn't say that after the fight
feels like there could be some chicanery going on.
Yeah, so it's very similar to that.
He sold me a stock at a really low price, I swear.
Yeah, it seems like, do they even have tape to go back on? I don't know. Now, there is a movie called Arbitrage, which I have not seen, nor will I ever see, just based on the poster alone. It looks a very, very 80s, an 80s movie that was made in 2012, regardless of the fact that it's very 80s, with Richard Gere wearing a bow tie on the front, and he is Arbitrage. It's a movie I have no interest in ever seeing.
Can I tell you something really weird? He's wearing
a tuxedo. People wearing tuxedos makes me so sleepy. I get so tired.
Even James Bond, he kicks ass in a tuxedo.
Especially James Bond.
Can I say something really weird?
Tenet might be your favorite movie ever made.
What's that?
Tenet might be your favorite movie ever made.
Yeah, I love it. Literally, just now, moments ago, as we're discussing this episode, we're discussing our number 5s, I got an automated email from my financial advisor that there has been some activity on my account. He either sold or bought a stock. So that is bizarre. Equally bizarre, on the previous episode, I didn't mention this, but now I have to, when we were talking about the big game. Remember, we couldn't say the big game, or you can or you can't, or companies say the big game is the Super Bowl. That's right, the Super Bowl. I got an automated email from, let's just say, a restaurant that is owned by a mutual friend of ours, saying, order our big game feast to go. Big game right there, because they're selling something. They can't say Super Bowl.
They should have said, order our big Super Bowl feast to go.
That's right. God, this is so weird.
It's not really that weird. So you're getting Somebody's stealing from you right now. You get
No. I get these occasionally if our stockbroker like buys or sells something, it just automatically.
Oh, your stockbroker?
Well, I have a guy to handle that.
Oh, I have a guy that handles my stockbroker.
I have a guy to handle that. We should talk
Brian, the
about...
only thing you're missing, the only thing you're missing is a horse. Like you need a horse to really complete your absolute and utter like white rich man life that you're trying to.
I have no interest in a horse. I have no interest. I mean, I might buy one anyway.
Got to change that.
I have no
interest.
interest.
Got to change that.
I might buy one just because, but I have no interest.
If it makes financial sense, if there's a good ROI.
We should talk about this because it's germane to the episode. What's your investing life like these days, Anderson? Do you own stocks? Do you do?
Of course
invest?
not. No.
What?
I'm a fucking. I'm a would-be. I hate, for lack of a better term, like a starving artist, stay-at-home dad. I don't have a fucking portfolio, Brian.
Well, Jillian must have a 401k. She's a government employee.
She does okay. Yeah, she likes to point it out to me and show me what it is, and then explain to me that I don't have one and wag her finger at me. Yes, thanks for bringing me to that part of my life. I like to spend time in it. I love it.
It's a great conversation.
No, I don't have a portfolio, Brian. I don't have any stocks. Negative, negator. I would like some.
Stocks
first, I need to get out of school debt first. How about that? I'm still in school debt.
Oh yeah, that you're gonna want to pay that off.
Working on it, Brian. Working on it. All right.
I'm just messing around.
The director of Arbitrage has not made a movie since 2012's Arbitrage. However, he does have one coming out that looks equally unwatchable called Crisis. First movie in 9 years. And this one's coming next month, or this month. 3 weeks, starring Gary Oldman, Armie Hammer, and Evangeline Lilly, also known as Freckles from Lost. I love her. Greg Kinnear's in this. Look at this. Kid Cudi.
Arbitrage can be seen on Prime Video and on Hulu.
Oh, I can't watch. So I'm going to watch Arbitrage tonight and then get ready for Crisis.
Pretty sweet. Arbitrage.
Oh, this is all about a world of opioids colliding with a drug trafficker. And this sounds like a hoot. This sounds fun.
Arbitrage.
These posters, man. I can't believe that these. Look at the poster for Crisis and tell me that actually helps. I don't understand how people could see that and say, yes, that's what I want to see. With the 3-headed monster at the top, you got the 3 stars, and then you got the Crisis.
Oh, the new film?
I don't understand. Like Hollywood is capable of anything, literally anything. And this is what they come up with because it's obviously proven.
I'm going to blow your mind a little bit. Arbitrage was 88% of Rotten Tomatoes and nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actor for Richard Gere.
I'm going to blow your mind a little bit, Brian. You have no idea who I am. You still don't know me after all these years. If you think that either one of those facts is going to get me out of bed, you have no idea who I am. I don't understand you, Brian. How do you not know who you're talking to?
We're going to watch Arbitrage.
Oh, 88% and Golden Globes. I mean, those are two things that I put very little stock in.
Stock.
Stock. Number 4 for me. Number 4 for me is a movie that you and I both like that got kind of buried, and it's called Limitless.
Oh, yeah.
Limitless, all about the NZT drug. Bradley Cooper. He's just a regular average Joe. Not the brightest, not the sharpest pencil there, not the brightest bulb. But then he comes across this drug that changes everything. And I equate it to...
He's a smart guy, but he's listless. No pun intended.
He's not that smart either. He can't quite... He's smart enough to know that he's not smart enough. You know what I mean? And... if you're familiar with that movie, The Mask, not the one with Rocky, with a horribly misshaped head, but the one with Jim Carrey,
that's right,
wearing the green mask. It's a remake of that essentially, but it's good. if you must.
I think The Mask is better than Limitless. %.
I mean, that wouldn't really blow my mind either, Brian.
88%.
But this is a movie. It's essentially like The Mask, which is tongue-in-cheek about cocaine as far as I can tell. I think this one is about speed and cocaine and stimulant use because it really helps you focus in, and I would imagine that's where the idea came from. But he becomes a master of everything, including the stock market, and he starts off he's trying to fund this bigger idea, and he writes an entire novel in one night. It's a great watch, and it got buried on VOD. Like it just started. I don't think it was even in the theaters. We both missed it entirely. It was before Bradley Cooper was the star that he is. And so back to the storyline, he's very smart. When he takes this drug, it turns him into a super genius. Like he's got like a quadruple IQ. Quadruple digit IQ, and on the very first day of trading, he starts to
His IQ is 1,000,
something like that. And on the very first day, he sees some trends, and he makes $800 on the very first day of trading. Not bad. And then he quintuples that each day for the first 4 days he's doing it, and but he needs more. He wants more, so he goes to a crazy, horrible loan shark who explains to him that if he doesn't repay the bill, if he doesn't repay his loan, they have a very unique, clever way of killing him. They start at the waist, where they cut around the waist, and then they pull his skin up over his head, and then they tie it in a knot.
Suffocate.
The loan shark says, yes, this does not kill you, but then you suffocate when we tie your skin in a knot up over your head. Can't imagine that's a real thing, but if it is, Jesus Christ.
I'd like to see some video of that.
But the way that this whole movie is just clever and fun and it's
better than it should have been.
ride.
Definitely exceeded expectations.
And they did this thing, which, Brian, you'll be lost here because you haven't seen The Queen's Gambit. But The Queen's Gambit did this very effective thing where it showed how she was imagining the chessboard when she was away from the chessboard, when she'd take some medication, much like Limitless, and lay in bed and imagine the moves that she would make. And she would do entire games in her head while on this... it was like a muscle relaxant or some kind of antipsychotic. I forget what kind of medication it was. Queen's Gambit. But she'd see the chess pieces moving around on the ceiling. And he was doing the same thing in this scene in Limitless. Bradley Cooper's character was laying there and he was kind of looking up and he was seeing like the stock prices moving and changing. And he was anticipating and predicting where they would be in his head. And the way that they had us visualize that was him visualizing it on the ceiling. Very, very. I would not be shocked at all if the Queen's Gambit bit came directly from Limitless.
Yeah,
Limitless, 2011.
Good call. Not on my list, but good movie and a good scene. Number 4 for me. This is my first clip, Anderson. Clip. This, of course, is a movie that's already come up on the show. It is, of course, The Big Short. Many great scenes in this movie. The movie had a lot going on. It's kind of the opposite, although it's a weird parallel to Margin Call, because although it depicts the same events, it depicts in a very different way. This is a 2015 film, The Big Short, directed by Adam McKay. Hopefully everyone's seen this. I was looking at the show. I like this movie quite a bit. I admire the ambition. They attempt to explain the intricacies of investing, with famously Margot Robbie in a bathtub or Selena Gomez playing blackjack. And they do a pretty good job of it as far as I understood.
Adam McKay.
Adam McKay, correct. Directed by Adam McKay. Mm-hmm. So the scene that I chose, there's a lot of great scenes in this movie. I could have gone with any number of them. Dialogue is very snappy. There's some sharp patter in this movie. However, I went with a very quiet, unusually quiet for this movie. Quiet scene and really a sad scene. So this is the end. I feel like I'm giving a lot away because everyone knows what happens at the end.
Oh, God damn you, Brian. Why, though? Why?
Why? What?
Why do you just love to do this?
Well, I don't feel like it's much of a spoiler because everyone knows what happened at the end of the housing crisis in 2008.
Valid point.
So in this scene, as the housing crisis causes the financial collapse in 2008, Steve Carell's character, Mark Baum, he wisely invested in credit default swaps, which basically kind of like shorting the market. Basically, he's saying like, I believe these rock solid investments will actually go south, and I want to get in on the wrong way betting. He's holding on to $200 million in credit default swaps. He's an investor, and the news is breaking that the financial collapse is happening and companies are just hemorrhaging money and it's going very badly on Wall Street. And he is walking through the halls of Morgan Stanley where he works. Although he's kind of an independent contractor, so he's not really susceptible to all the sadness and destruction. He walks.
He's a free agent.
Yeah, he walks into his beleaguered colleague Kathy, her office, and it's a long scene. Stick with it; it's really good. It's really impactful. And this is the conversation he has with his friend Kathy about the company's outstanding debt on mortgage-backed securities.
I just wanted you to know that that yes, Morgan has suffered some losses, but our liquidity is strong, and there's no cause for concern.
Would Benny Klieger be concerned? Because word on the street is that he took some pretty heavy losses. Kathy, come on. We know each other. What's going on? How bad is this?
Okay. 2 years ago, Benny Klieger in Morgan's bond department also started shorting subprime housing, $2 billion in triple Bs.
Benny is smarter than I thought.
No, he's not smart at all. The premiums on the swap ate into his desk's profit. To cover his triple B shorts, he sold a lot of A and AA swaps as protection. A lot. He believed that there was no way that they could be affected.
Tell me Morgan Stanley doesn't hold the contracts on these swaps. Holy shit. All this time I've been trying to figure out who I'm betting against, and it's Morgan Stanley, which is me. What's your exposure, $3 billion? Please don't tell me it's more than 4.
I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
Yes, you can answer that because I walk in here and people are crying in your hallway. Kathy, you bring me in to tell me everything's fine, and everything's not fine. What is happening?
The long exposure is $15 billion.
That's a big number. It's a really big number.
Yeah. That's bad news. It's a heartbreaking scene because for obvious reasons. But right before this, and it was very visual, so I didn't include it. But he walks in while this woman Kathy is on the phone, and he observes a breast pump behind her. She obviously has just had a baby, is pumping her milk, and not the right time to be looking at a $15 billion debt when you've just started a new family.
But we know the full story, and we also know that the banks were too big to fail and that they were bailed out. So I mean, it's
but she may have lost her job. The banks obviously had to cut. A lot of people lost their jobs. I lost my job. Christy lost her job. This I imagine.
You lost your job?
Yeah, the station flip formats, and we the
because of this.
Because it was in February 2009 after the 2008 housing crash. People stopped advertising on radio basically, and the station was losing money, and they started to flip to an all DJ-less format. That's when it became AMP 97. Yeah, it became AMP 97. No DJs.
Well, I knew it became AMP 97, and I know that I moved into the K-Rock building. I was there for all that when they moved in. But I mean, the writing was on the wall. That would have happened eventually anyways. Maybe it just accelerated.
It may have, but it was a direct result because there was no advertising revenue, and they were having. Think about the financial model of KLSX. That's the station we used to be on. They were paying morning show level salaries to Adam Carolla, Tom Likas, Frosty Heidi and Frank, Conway. Like they're paying a lot of talent for round the clock.
Yeah, it was a great station.
It was fun. It was a good station, but it was a poor business model. Excuse me.
Well, it wasn't prior to Sirius.
That's true.
Let's
actually,
just say it.
That's a good point.
And then eventually podcasting. People meter. I mean, let's not go down radio woes way because that's just very depressing. I mean, it was in the death throes for the last 10 years that I was at K-Rock with Loveline. Okay. I'm glad that you played that end scene with the big gut punch for everyone who hasn't seen it or they haven't seen it in a while. That's good, Brad.
It's good.
Fantastic.
Enjoy.
Proud of you. Proud of you, buddy.
On brand.
You don't disappoint. All right. Number 3?
Yeah.
Number 3. I don't know how or why I saw this movie. I remember claiming to never, ever having any interest in watching this. I was told that first time I ever heard about 25th Hour was from, might have been a listener. No, it wasn't a listener because I didn't have listeners back then. Somebody let me know that they saw the 25th Hour, Spike Lee's 25th Hour, and they said that there is a standalone moment in the movie where it's a guy breaking the fourth wall, explaining all of his grievances, and they said that it was pretty much my short film that I made
3-6
in film school. 3-6, yeah, very very similar, and I became enraged. I was already enraged because that was my natural state then, and I said I will never watch that movie. And I think you might have assigned it to me.
I've never seen it.
Oh, you've never seen it?
No.
Oh. Well, there are some very, very good moments in this movie, and it's kind of like a Big Short margin call before all of that. It was a little bit boiler room for sure, and it was written by David Benioff. The reason why I say his name is because some of the writing here is fantastic. He's written some Freaky Friday. He's credited with writing the Flowers for Algernon episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia called Flowers for Charlie, which was a fantastic episode. And you pick up on the witty, humorous writing in this scene.
So this is a movie I've not seen, but tell me about the clip.
Yeah, so this scene is Barry Pepper, who's doing something that's fairly naughty. He's going out on a limb. He's being very, very aggressive, doing things that would get him fired for sure. And he's got his foes in the office that are like hoping that he goes down. And he's explaining what's happening in layman's terms about the unemployment rate and what that does to the economy to like a gopher in the office, pretty much. And it's all like all these scenes for the most part, except for my fifth choice, which was the quiet moment with Bettany and Tucci on the stoop there from Margin Call. Most of the other moments are very, very cocaine driven. Like this is what cocaine feels like for those
like
who really
like the song,
unlike the song. Like these guys are all, and it reminds me of when I would go to Vegas and I would be up, I'd sit at a pie gow table for 12 hours straight, just drinking, and and I would finally try and get some sleep at like 6 a.m. And I remember dreaming about cards. Like that's how I would be if I was
it's like when you see Tetris after playing it for a few hours.
Yeah, like it's just like almost like when your eyes are staring at a bright light and you close them and you still see the bright light. It's like that, but your actual brain is imprinted. That's how I would be. I would be like these guys. And yes, I can only guess that there's mountains of cocaine that are going through. This Barry Pepper is very nervous, and he's probably fueled with some substances. And it's a fun little scene. I'll let it run. You can hear him talking some massive shit to the gopher at the end about his choices in clothing. Here, Brian, you can play from your end in 3, 2, 1, 25th hours. Go.
Out of the fence.
What's the big deal with the employment number anyway when it's at Phelan?
Whatever. Look, more jobs means fewer people looking for work. Means it's harder to find good people to fill those jobs. Means you got to raise wages. To get them means inflation goes up. You got it?
Yeah.
Nah, I didn't think so. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing and you're handing out junk mail. Now get off my desk.
Sorry about that. Thanks.
You know you're wearing a striped shirt with a striped tie. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do it for the ladies.
Oh, do the ladies ever tell you that you look like a fucking optical illusion? Yeah? Go away. Disappear. Come on.
I'm out of here.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. You look like an optical illusion. But that's my number 3 right there, Brian.
All right. Not bad.
25th hour.
Not bad.
And when I finally did see it, I can't remember why. I thought for sure it was, you assigned it to me. I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would. Begrudgingly liked it.
You know what I miss in my life? Some Barry Pepper.
Barry Pepper is
I
good.
need Barry Pepper back in my life.
Frank Slattery. Very memorable character in 25th Hour. It's Frank Slattery doing very ridiculous things.
Is this not the movie about Ed Norton who is going to prison or something?
Exactly.
Huh?
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's a Brian movie. You'd probably love it.
Yeah.
It's a brisk 2 hours and 15 minutes. Could have been told in 90.
Number 3 for me, coincidentally, Anderson, is also a movie a movie I have misgivings about. It's not a good movie. I don't like it. But when I saw this movie, the only thing I really remember about it and enjoy about it is this one scene that involves the stock market. In fact, my only of my top 5 that directly involves stocks is from a movie called Money Monster from 2016. This is not a good movie, Money Monster. It is directed by Jodie Foster. It stars George Clooney. You might remember it kind of came and went. This is the movie where the main character, George Clooney, hosts kind of think Mad Money with Jim Cramer. Like, he's an investor and he's brash and he's loud and he's got a TV show and he's an investing expert. He's giving stock tips and blah, blah, blah. And a viewer who has been, he felt he has been wronged by George Clooney. He made an investment that went south, comes onto the set and with a gun and holds George Clooney hostage live on TV. It's a pretty stupid movie.
Oh, yes. I was drawing total blank until you told me that. And I'm like, I remember seeing the trailer for this a number of times.
Yeah,
too many times.
Pretty dumb. However, there's one great scene in this. We did top 5. That's the one we could revisit, by the way. Top 5 good scenes in bad movies. We see George Clooney. He's being held hostage at gunpoint by this viewer / investor who has lost all his money, and he feels as though he must exact his revenge on George Clooney. Clooney, he addresses his viewers and he says, "Listen, this guy here, he lost all his money on this one stock because the value went down. But listen, here's what we can band together as a community. And if we all just invest right now, you're sitting at your desks, just put a little bit of money in this stock. Put a little bit of money in this stock and let's get the value up and let's get this guy whole again. And let's save my life." And he's like, what's a life worth to you? What's my life worth to you? It's a rousing speech. It's almost like a locker room speech from a coach. And of course, they have the live ticker on the TV, and you see the stock goes up, by a penny. And he talks, and he's rousing. It goes up by a penny. He's trying to get the stock up, and he goes, "What's my life worth?" And we look at the stock, and it drops by like $1. It's a great scene. It's a great scene. I laughed out loud at this one good scene in this otherwise ridiculous movie. So that's my number 3, Money Monster.
So, I mean, is that towards the end?
It's in the no. There's a whole. It's ridiculous. There's a whole thing where he marches him outside, and then like that's maybe a third of the way through the movie, or halfway at the very most.
Who wrote this?
That's a good question, actually. It's a pretty ridiculous fucking movie.
Yeah, and like even if they got the stock up and they Reddited it, like GameStopped it, and the guy was like a millionaire. He doesn't just walk out. Actually, that's kind of interesting. Like, can he now afford a defense team?
That's right.
So it was kind of a genius plan.
Yeah, it feels like
he knew that he would be in legal trouble, but he could get his. Ooh, that'd be like if you robbed a bank and then you got to keep the money that they wouldn't be able to take his money away from him until he was convicted, right? Unlike a bank robbery.
Then they might not be able to.
This is interesting. Yeah, would they be able to? Because when you rob it, this might sound ridiculous, but I'm just thinking about how the light of the law, and like if you rob a bank, but you're not guilty until found guilty, isn't that money yours until they could convict you?
I think it's seized as evidence. However, in this situation, it's just his money. You know what I mean? Like he owns the stock. It's not like he's.
They might have to seize his accounts though for it.
That's also true. That's potentially true. Yeah. And if he was found liable, had to pay some money, they might garnish his assets.
So none of this was broached or explored in the actual movie.
Like I said, it's not a good movie. I don't recommend it.
I mean, I like these ideas that we're having right here. This sounds fun. This sounds interesting.
It's far more interesting. I agree.
Like he comes out $40 million richer, and they arrest him. He spares the life.
He's like, who cares?
Clooney.
I'm rich.
And then he gets the defense. He gets like Johnny Cochran.
And he didn't actually do anything at that point. If he hadn't killed anybody, he's like, I'll just go to jail for 8 months for threatening or whatever, or menacing, or threatening someone with a deadly weapon, and they'll come out and I'll be fucking $40 million richer.
Yeah. It would start a trend, I would think. People that down on their luck. All right. Money Monster, very good, Brian. Number 2 for me, it's already been mentioned.
No break here. We're just going to roll right into number 2.
Yeah, we don't have a sponsor.
Good, fuck everyone.
This week. I don't know if that's the appropriate response, but yeah, no sponsor. If you would like to be a sponsor, I know I got a couple listeners in the wings who wanted to do some sponsorship of the program. Just shoot me an email at anderson@andersoncowan.com. It's always fun talking to listeners too, and coming up with the bullet points and what message they want to get across. So we've done a number of them to this point. Number 2 for me is the aforementioned Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The reason why I have this high is because it is that a look at the old trading pit,
That's
which
right.
no longer exists. And like Brian said, it's at the where was it? What's it called?
The Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
Mercantile Exchange. That's right. And on July 6th, 2015 is when they retired that. And it was like a 147-year tradition where they do the screaming and yelling and back and forth and all the sign language. And I like Brian, watched a few videos where I was being explained what that all means and what the different signs were. And a different world. And it's a profession that's no longer the way it was because of computer technology. Now it's much quieter. It's all zeros and ones traded on the digital side of things, obviously. But this is a good look at that with the yellow coats, right? They had the yellow
That's right,
coats
the yellow
on.
jackets.
And I guess that they did move the pit. They condensed 2 of the pits and they put them somewhere else in Chicago, but I don't even know if those are still around anymore. I don't know if this
I
happens
think-
except for like in Indonesia for illegal gambling in like fighting rinks. I think that's the only-
Cockfighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I saw a video that showed they still are in the pit, but it's all digital and they're all on computers.
Goddamn pewters. Back in my day, it was analog. Go ahead, man. What's your number 2?
Number 2 for me is the aforementioned margin call, my scene from this movie. This does not involve stocks. It involves the housing markets, mortgage-backed securities. Say the exact same thing as The Big Short, as we mentioned before, takes a different look at the same events. This clip is, let me try and explain margin call. This all takes place in basically a 12-hour period right before the, I guess a 24-hour period, right on the eve of the housing collapse. And a very smart employee of this firm, played by Zachary Quinto, figures out what's about to happen with the massive losses and et cetera, and the brain trust of the company, specifically Jeremy Irons and Kevin Spacey, who you're about to hear. They gather at an emergency meeting. It's 4 a.m., I believe, when this is taking place, to decide how to address the impending collapse. Anderson, you got my clip ready?
I do.
All right, let's watch. So this will be a little longer, but it lends itself.
It is very long.
It lends itself because Margin Call is a very verbose movie, as you can imagine. This will be Jeremy Irons and Kevin Spacey, for the most part, having a conversation about how to move forward with a strategy to deal with this impending crisis.
This is nearly a 3-minute clip. Buckle up. That was it, Brian.
That was it. Love that. I love that scene. That's such a great. It's high stakes. It's 2 very powerful guys, showing down. They both have a point of view that's technically correct, but God, I love that scene.
You know, that Kevin Spacey, he is a creep, but that creep can roll. You know what I
He's a
mean?
good actor.
I miss him.
Turns out.
Man, can that creep roll? He is like, he's one of those actors who's just kind of like one of a kind. It's not like he's a Kevin Spacey type. Like, you don't see a Kevin Spacey type. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what that would be.
I don't know either. Why you got to be a creep, Spacey? Miss you. Why? I ask you why. Oh, and Jeremy Irons is just perfect.
I can't hear him without hearing a Scar.
Yeah, he is Scar, and he is playing a villain, but he's perfectly cast.
He's great.
Perfectly. The movie's great. I love that movie. I want to see it right now. Can we stop the program?
Let's go watch
So I
it
can go
right
watch-
now and then come back and wrap up.
Watch it right now. Number 1 for me. This is one that takes place at the end. I'm not going to give it away, but I have it number 1 because it is the ultimate scene as far as as far as like the pit, as far as the trading, as far as what my little naive mind imagines what the stock market. I know that it's not, but from what I see in movies, it's trading places.
That's
it's the last
my
thing in
number
trading
1 as
places.
well. My number 1.
And
It's the GOAT.
I don't
It's
want
the
to go
greatest.
into it.
It's the greatest of all time.
It is the GOAT. It's the GOAT is redundant, right? Because it's the greatest of all time.
That's a good point.
Oh wait,
no,
it's not.
G,
No, there's
G is
no
greatest.
T.
G is greatest.
There's G.
To GOAT.
So it can
To
be the
GOAT.
GOAT.
To GOAT.
It is the GOAT. But watching this and studying this scene, which was the very first one to come to mind, as I'm sure a lot of other people's as well, if not The Big Short, because it's more recent and then Trading Places. But watching it, Eddie Murphy's kind of he's kind of playing it up a little.
Meaning what?
He's pointing and doing that shit-eating grin.
Mugging
going,
for the camera?
Mugging.
Yeah.
A lot of mugging going
yes.
on. I feel like he's losing sales as a result. He's taking his time, mugging.
A lot of mugging. I agree. This film is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it's got enough great stuff going on. This scene, of course, actually depicts like a fairly complicated concept of like buying short and selling and buying again, and it became the basis for an actual insider trading law in 2010.
Yeah, later that year, after this movie was released, art was actually imitated for life.
Oh, really? I didn't come across that in my research.
Yeah.
Did someone try and pull this with the orange juice futures?
It wasn't orange juice futures, but something similar. It gave him the idea. Much like the opposite of, I guess the opposite of most every movie. I was about to run with my Punch Drunk Love and be like, my opposite of that. Yeah, most movies are based on reality, Anderson. Yes, you dumb fuck. But it's one of the rare instances where, you know what's funny is Heat. Like, I still have a hard time. I got to stop and think, like, which came first? Was it the actual bank robbers?
Oh, yeah.
Heat
it was Heat.
But Heat came first, and then that inspired the actual robbing of a bank in North Hollywood,
right.
it happened 3 blocks from where my now wife lived.
That's insane.
Right there on Laurel Canyon. Yeah, bad times. That bank is still there, too.
Really?
All right.
I know.
Anyways, that's my number 1.
My number 1 as well. Yes, it's we shouldn't give away too much what happens. If people haven't seen it, please see Trading Places. It's a fun movie. It's a smart movie, and of course a funny movie. And it involves commodities / the futures market, specifically orange juice concentrate.
There's some really great comeuppance and revenge and karma and characters and it's one of those. It's a John Landis movie, but it's arguably the smartest John Landis movie that I can think of.
The part we're talking about, Anderson, the climactic scene is kind of a needlessly elaborate plot point for a movie like this. Like they didn't need to get into that kind of detail.
But they did. Like somebody, they had like a technical advisor on set or something saying, no, that's not the way it would happen. It would happen like this. And he was yelling at Eddie Murphy for mugging too much.
Enough.
But it still worked. I mean, not to pick on Eddie Murphy. He's one of the all-time greats, obviously. But I didn't notice him smugly preening until really studying this scene for this week's episode.
Speaking of studying the scene for this week's episode, did you notice that when that comeuppance comes, the term margin call is used?
No.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, when the stock exchange, guy in the suit comes up to the Duke brothers and goes, "Margin call, gentlemen." And they're like, for a fact we don't have $394 million.
Oh, you know what? I didn't even pick up on that. I was still reeling from the guy who fainted. I mean, it would be really smart, and
Wilson,
then they'd have something really dumb,
there.
like get back in there. So dumb. Like I just have no energy. I can't stay on my feet. I'm going to.
He's overwhelmed.
Like, what are you doing? Like, how does John Landis allow that to be in there?
The guy who does this for a living is overwhelmed at the idea of people buying up the orange juice.
Right. Yeah. Like he's never seen anything like it.
I've never
before.
seen a run on a commodity before.
I'm going to essentially faint. I'm going to do the old man version of fainting, which is melting down into be swallowed by the abyss. Ugh. All right. Jordan Wolf compiles our list every single week of the listeners' top 5. And this week was no different. And if you would like to be a part of the listener list and have your vote tallied, you can do so over at Anderson and Brian on our Instagram or Film Vault. Facebook, The Film Vault, or Twitter at The Film Vault. And here is the list. The derivatives explanation from The Big Short. I can't believe this isn't higher because you actually see vagina.
No, you do not.
Don't you? Kind of?
I imagine it, believe me.
Huh. I thought you did.
No, she's submerged in a bubble bath.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of is Wolf of Wall Street.
You get a little more action there, actually. If you really want to see,
I combine the two of them in my head a lot of the time because they are both
more,
bro movies.
Yeah, they both have Margot Robbie and they both involve investing.
Yeah, those two meld in my head a lot of the time. All right, they're both very good movies. A Big Short for me, though, every single time. Number 4 is Bane in the stock market from The Dark Knight Rises. This is definitely on my also rants.
Right.
Great scene.
Time to go mobile.
And then remember when he said, margin call, mediocre
That's right, margin
call.
call.
And then number 3 for the listeners is nighttime boardroom scene from Margin Call.
That's right.
So many great scenes. So many fantastic scenes. That really you can almost just close your eyes and pick a scene number from Margin Call, and you got a 1 in 3 chance of it being worthy of this list, I think. Cold call scenes from The Wolf of Wall Street. It is a fantastic scene. It kind of sets everything in motion,
right.
and it's a great scene. And then number 1 is the end scene from Trading Places with 61% of the overall vote, and more than 2/3 of the top 5.
The rare number 1 for you, me, and the listeners.
Trading Places. I mean, it is the ultimate. It's the GOAT, like I said. The GOAT. All right. Last week we fucked up and forgot to gamble. Everything was new and fresh to us. So, get off our backs.
Sorry. Easy, buddy.
I just got animated. I feel more free too because I'm doing it. It's wintertime, like I said last week, and I'm doing it in my studio, which is in the garage, where I do a little Addy and Andy, and I could scream and yell things like that. Not that I didn't before, but I could do so now with more carefree attitude because I have walls.
We cut to your neighbors like, I think the neighbor has a hostage in his garage.
Before I would do it outside. And I was literally facing my one poor neighbor's property and just, yelling obscenities into the microphone, which I'm sure reached his ears. And it's going to go back to that way. And it's summertime. I feel like people can hear a little less in the summertime. People are in the pool. You know what I mean?
Anderson, by the summertime, you're going to be back in my home studio.
Oh, that's great.
Right.
I hope so. That's something to look forward to.
That's
right
my
there.
goal.
Because, I thought about doing it outside because it is wintertime, so more people are inside and whatnot, but it is California. People do go outside, and it's fucking quiet out there. And I realized a few weeks ago that I was echoing throughout the neighborhood.
I guess that is
the
true.
wife was giving me looks. I had to move inside.
It's quite quiet.
So, all right. We are going to gamble, and thanks to Giovanni's needlessly elaborate email system, which I greatly appreciate, we are going to see what were results from gambling, but we didn't gamble last week. All right, next movies for gambling. Here we go. The Little Things, which we just talked about. I'm hearing really good things.
Really good little things.
Yes, it's the guy that did The Founder, Brian Hancock.
Oh, tell me more.
Okay. Cowboys is coming out. Steve Zahn. I'm excited just because Steve's on. And then Judas and the Black Messiah, which actually, you know what? I'm seeing TV spots for. Just last week, I was talking about how I don't see TV spots for movies, and it seems like they're missing the boat, and there should be TV spots more now than ever. I'm starting to see them for Judas and the Black Messiah, which is currently at Sundance. They're just wrapping up Sundance right now. It's coming out. I thought it wasn't coming out till the end of the month. No, February 12th. All right. Theaters and streaming February 12th, and then Supernova. Speaking of the Tooch, Supernova is coming out too, which is it's a movie. Sounds like a real laugh riot. It's about these partners, this couple, and they're a gay couple, and they're older, and one of them is terminally
I'm
ill.
listening.
Sounds hilarious.
Sounds like a more, but not as funny.
Sounds like a serious version of a more. All right, so I say I think that we should probably gamble on the old Judas and the Black Messiah, right? I mean, we have an understanding of what that movie is, probably more so than the other.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I know the score for Little Things, or approximately. So let's do. It's already out in theaters, Dick.
What's that?
The Little Things already been released. How would I not know the score?
I don't know why you just call me a dick.
Dick.
What? I was saying Shaka King. I wasn't saying shocking. Did you hear me saying? Did you think I was saying
I
shocking?
was say Shocking.
Shaka King, the director of Judas and the Black Messiah. All right, I have a number. If you have a number,
I'm thinking. Oh, I got a number.
Mm-hmm. All right, on 3.
Yes, sir.
Gambling on Judas and the Black Messiah on 3. 1, 2,
88.
93.
What did you do? 93?
Ooh, 93.
88.
I heard.
I may have gone too low.
I mean, it does seem like it's low to me. That's why I went higher. All right. Current scores for the next gambling section Judas and the Black Messiah, a 98%.
98?
98?
Oh, this is not good news for me.
No, it's not. Little Things, 48%. Cowboys, 92%. I like seeing Steve Zahn in a movie that's getting some play, hopefully. And then Supernova is 87%.
Brute.
87%.
Brute.
Anything else to I don't want to forget anything. I think that's it. Still kind of, getting in the swing of things with the new format, but I'm liking this new format, Brian. I don't know about you. I can't speak for you, but I'm liking it.
I don't mind either way. I do prefer just the smoothness of one long episode, but I do see the benefit. People get it, there's not everyone's a Joe Rogan fan and wants to dive in for a 4-hour episode. They want something a little more bite-sized.
We're approaching. Wait till next year when we have to make it 4 a week because each of these standalone episodes are turning into 2 hours each.
Oh no! It all just keeps dividing like cells.
Well, it keeps up like gremlins. All right.
So good. All right. Let's see, Anderson. Where are your notes? There we go. Excellent. Oh yes, I love I truly love this listener art from Ludwig van Bacon, longtime contributor to the Film Vault art.
Professional
archive.
artist too. I linked straight to his site too. He does some really good stuff. He's the one who did the shirt for us with the three of us looking like droogs when Logan was still part of the program, and then he touched it up. Now Logan is no longer a part of that, and we should have that as a shirt real soon if it's not already a shirt. So I'll be loud and proud about that once that becomes a shirt from Ludwig van Bacon. Very good artist.
I like that I'm bald. That's good.
Yeah, you're a little bald guy. I'm an angry guy, and it's play on soul.
Lots of good stuff over at our Patreon. We got a new episode coming out next week. Not sure what that's going to be yet, but we will have something interesting for you guys to consume. Patreon.com/The Film Vault. There's an Amazon banner that says Shop Anderson and Brian. Go ahead and tap that when you're going shopping on Amazon. Costs you nothing, literally nothing, except for what you're going to buy already. AndersonandBrian.com is the website where you can find that banner. Facebook, Twitter, The Film Vault, Instagram, Anderson and Brian. It's where you can see our listener art. Thanks to all of our Patreon listeners and, of course, to Gio, Jordan Wolf, Mitch Burns, Mike Cole, and all you guys for listening and downloading. Very cool. Thank you. And until next time.
We do it for Van Gogh.